If you pull up the Chief Sports app today, you can watch and listen to the newest Tailgate Talks with Steven, Pat, and the great Melvin Ingram. What a cool conversation that was. Glad to have you, man. It's time to talk ball. What's up?
Yeah, man. Just same old stuff. Just getting ready for another hurricane that's getting ready to head this way.
Dude, hopefully that it's showing now. It might. I hope those people down there are okay, but it actually might make a little bit more landfall than they thought, and maybe not spin off as much. So if it doesn't,
it's always something.
Go to the Keys. Stay away from Steven. Before we get to actual football, Memphis has a playoff game Friday night, I'm hearing, right?
Yep, down in Boca Raton. So we're actually heading down there tomorrow. Yeah, I don't understand it. So they won their district for the first time in 5 years, but for some reason we gotta drive to West Boca Raton High School.
Wow,
I don't understand the whole Florida playoff schedule and playoff rules and all that stuff. It has to do with points against, points for, and overall. I don't know.
You're playing West Boca?
Yep. And apparently they got some good running backs down there.
They got two stuff. My friend's son plays for them. Really? And I was just talking to him last night about it. Because West Boca didn't even exist like when I was growing up. That wasn't even a thing. But as the population has boomed, they've obviously added schools. So that is a school. There ain't a whole lot of like 5-stars grow up in West Boca. So they're recruiting. Pulling them in. You're probably not surprised at that, Steven. So that's where they got a lot of their talent. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're
hope I'm not revealing too much, but
no, yeah. I watched their tape with them the last couple of nights, and I was like, dude, at the end of the day, like you're gonna have to score points. That's just what you guys are gonna have to do. And to hell with this coach. Do your own damn thing. I hope he's not watching this thing, but. I said, Memphis, man, to hell with this play, man. Just scramble and make something happen.
Do you watch a lot of film with Memphis?
Yeah.
What's that like for you, being dad? Does he listen to you?
Somewhat.
Or is he like you? He doesn't listen on it.
Yeah, he's very hard-headed, but I think the difference is between me listening to my dad or Memphis listening to me is that I actually played football, so I have a little bit. Like if my dad was talking to me about stocks and finances, I would probably listen. But when it came to football, I was like, "You have no idea what you're talking about." So with football, Memphis, he heeds the advice a little bit.
It's kind of like what you told Coach Spurrier. Coach, you don't really know what you're talking about.
Yeah, several times.
Oh man. Well, best of luck to him. I know he's had a nice year. I know you're proud of him. And he's gotten huge. That is crazy to see that. But
he still needs to put on some weight.
Yeah, well, not too much. He doesn't want to get where the rest of us have gotten.
Oh shit. Damn, just kicked over my thing. Hold on. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Well, Carolina is ranked, Steven. They are ranked 21st in the college football playoff poll this week for the first time since the end of 2022. After they beat Clemson, they were number 19 in that poll. So they got a ranked matchup this weekend. Missouri comes in at 23, 7-2. Gamecocks on a 5-game losing streak. Let's go back to Nashville. We talked about this last week. The four of us did, and I think we all agreed it wasn't a good matchup for Vanderbilt for a multitude of reasons. Mm-hmm. And Carolina proved that on Saturday, but once again, we continue to see the growth of Lenore Sellers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think Missouri's going to be in trouble, and obviously, I think Vegas agrees. Seeing what is it, like a 12-point spread at this point now? If it hasn't even increased more,
still 12.5. I haven't.
Yeah, it's a flat 12 right now. Interestingly enough, at least on ESPN,
come down 1.5. Yeah,
yeah. So I think I saw. What's his name? Drinkwitz said that they're still playoff hopeful or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what planet are you on, dude? Like, no.
Yeah, well, they won't. I don't think they will be after Saturday. This defensive front is too much for basically everybody they play. Lenoris, I want to take you to a play that happened Saturday. They were inside their own 10-yard line. Do you remember this one? He had a little bit of time, kind of tried to bounce outside. He got hit. He spun off. He runs about, 15, 20 yards back towards the sideline, throws it across his body, 40 yards, ends up being that. Stephen, how hard is it to make a throw like that across your body, 40 yards in the air, when you're just trying to find somebody open? Like, take us through that experience as a QB.
No, I mean, it's definitely not easy. That's why, he's that's why he's QB1 first off at South Carolina. That's why he's one of the, in my opinion, probably one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC in general. It's not easy. I mean, the kid's an athletic freak. I think the most impressive part was just breaking the tackle from that guy. I forgot if he was a DN or a defensive tackle. I mean, it wasn't a small dude. And for him to kind of break that tackle, spin out, keep his eyes downrange, and that's something that I've talked about this with you guys every single week, and I talk about it with anybody that I ever talked to, is his progression from first week. I mean, what did he have against ODU? 20-something carries, something like that. I mean,
yeah,
you look at him now. He is breaking tackles, and he's not looking to run. He's looking downfield, keeping his eyes peeled, and guys are open. So, he's gonna, like I said every single time, he's gonna be a big problem, moving forward.
Do you feel like the wider, because there was that play, there's a few of them, but my question is about the wideouts. Like, do you feel like they're also maybe finding their feet a little bit and creating that sixth sense bond with their quarterback? Because I thought Nick Harbor actually instinctually had a couple of nice plays as a wideout, a couple of breakdowns the other day where he kind of found the soft spot, came back to the ball, all those things that you quarterbacks talk about. Do you feel like the wide receivers are kind of starting to feel out what Lenoris is capable of too?
No question. I mean, like I say all the time, like, you can do the training, you can do practice, and nothing is like live fire. So, for them to kind of get in the habit of doing it, in the games, and kind of understanding where everybody's going to be. And, the standard protocol is, when you're shallow and the the quarterback scrambling out to the right to you go deep. If you're deep, you come back, shallow. So I think these guys are just finding, they're keeping the head on a swivel. They're looking around and finding, holes in the defense. And that's something that just happens with continuity and, continuously doing it.
I know we're getting into the final few games of the year. You wish this was like a 16-game schedule so you could see it play out a little more.
Yeah.
How about the offensive line? What'd you see from those guys?
I feel like they've improved, every single week, to be honest with you. I think they're buying in a little bit more to Coach Elliott with his run schemes. And, I don't think much has changed from, what he was doing back with Lattimore and us back in the, 2010s. So, yeah, I think these guys are just, kind of buying in, and, they're, like I said, they're playing as a unit. They're gelled up, and, they got a guy that, behind them that is helping him out big time, escaping some plays and keeping his eyes downfield. Not to mention, Rocket Sanders has kind of turned on his jets pretty good.
He's something. All right, you just said something there that's going to perk a lot of interest, and I had this on the agenda to ask you. We did talk to Pat about it the other day. Clearly, Coach Beamer hasn't come out and said, well, let me tell you how we're doing this here, and he's not going to do that. This is Dowell Loggins' offense, and I think Dowell Loggins has done a nice job. Of course, everybody thinks Dowell Loggins has done a nice job when he score points and win, but the influence of Sean Elliott, you're saying you can see. I mean, you live that, so you know what it looks like. You're saying you can see it on the field as far as what they're doing out there, blocking and running the football. There's a lot of similarities from 13, 14 years ago.
Absolutely. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Right. I mean, it works. It works pretty well for us and Lattimore. So, obviously you got, different personnel, and, that was 14, 12, 14 years ago. So, he's obviously made some improvements, but for the most part, man, it looks very, very eerie similar.
More so than earlier in the season?
But I think they're just. I feel like there's a lot less, maybe confusion, if that's the right term. But I feel like the linemen, they kind of understand like where everybody's going to go. They're more gelled. They're more a tactical type unit. So that's, like I said, that's when you have these guys and they're playing well and everybody's on the same page. I mean, it looks fluid.
And these guys have all played together all year. I mean, tonight's going to be I think, Phil, remind me if I'm missing one. Outside of Lenoris and Rocket earlier, but we kind of already knew where that was. We don't really know much about the health of Josiah Thompson, and we'll get our first real crack at that tonight with the availability report. Is he questionable? Is he doubtful? I don't really know, but Big Tree came in last week and played left tackle. Steven, I thought he played really, really well. You almost wonder why you hadn't seen him all season.
Yeah, I agree. But when you got somebody that's playing better in front of you, then that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, that's been questioned. We've talked about it around here so many times about the offensive line. Okay, like do you make a change when they were getting sacked so many times? And let's be honest, the last couple of weeks they could have been sacked probably a combined 7, 8, 9 more times as well. The pass pro probably still has a ways to go, but as you keep mentioning, Lenore Sellers is just turned into a pinball back there. You can't get him on the ground. On the defensive side of the football, the other day we just saw more of the same. I don't. Do you realize this? Kentucky 6, Oklahoma 9, and Vanderbilt 7. 3 road trips this year where they have held the home team. I don't care who it is, under 10 points on their home field. It's insane.
Yeah, that's a hell of a stat. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, and Alabama was a good defensive performance too. If we're being honest with ourselves, I mean, look what they made Jalen Milroe look as bad as he's looked all season long. So those guys are going to be a constant. Like they're going to give them a chance in every game they play, which is the final 3, and then the bowl game. Which, by the way, a lot of these projections are sending them to your neck of the woods.
I saw that against Louisville in the Gator Bowl. That's what I saw last.
Oh, really? I didn't see that one. I saw Iowa and Illinois and Tampa.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well,
we're coming to your place, man. Hope you got room.
All right, I'll make sure the Airbnb's cleaned up.
What do you call it? The Nest?
The Nest. Yep.
Yeah. ITG from the Nest.
Yep.
We can do
that.
Man,
I see Mike changed his background today, huh?
Yeah.
He got rid of the strange kid. Yeah.
We in Mercedes today? Is that what
I'm not, little Texas fan. He's coming back, but I had to mix it up with in lieu of the latest playoff rankings. That's as you know, guys. That's the Benz. That's Atlanta, and that's where the national championship will take place. So that's the goal for everybody out there, still, including Carolina. Still have an outside shot. So you never say never when you're sitting there, and as long as you avoid a 4th loss. But yeah, I try to mix it up, Steve. And I don't have the cool bobblehead collection that you do. I mean, I can't top oversized John Gruden bobblehead. That's going to be the trump card every time.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I got to find the Trump bobblehead next.
Okay. I'm sure they're out there.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean that one right there. You kind of could
mix it up, put some hair on them or something.
Yeah, you could probably get by with that if you put a jacket and a tie and a painted visor.
I may mess with that actually.
See what happens.
But I'll tell you what, man. Just what I'm thinking about is seeing how much love South Carolina's been getting lately.
Yeah.
Talking about there's not 12 teams that want to play against these guys right now.
No.
And I was like, they're absolutely right. I don't think LSU would ever want a rematch. I don't think Bama. I don't even think Ole Miss, for that matter, would want a rematch against us right now.
Yeah,
I think there's a point in the season where the old Eastern opponents that Carolina used to face all looked at their schedule just to remind themselves that they didn't have the Gamecocks on there at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this has been again from a PR standpoint, and someone might say, well, what does that matter? Well, it matters in recruiting. Among other things. I've talked about the TV ratings. I mean, for Carolina to get 4 showcase ABC games, all had millions of eyeballs on them. That's a win. You have national pundits that really have not been thinking about South Carolina at all, talking about how there's not 15 teams better in the country than South Carolina. You have gobs and gobs of people commenting on what a great environment Williams-Brice Stadium is. I mean, a couple of those ABC games, they literally just laid out, which they tell us as announcers to do sometimes for after a big play to let the crowd. This is pregame, and the announcers are laying out just like dead air. You hear nothing but sandstorm in the crowd for like 60 seconds. It's like an infomercial. So you haven't seen this kind of pub since the the 3 consecutive 11-win seasons, it's been pretty damn glorious for South Carolina to get this kind of attention.
No question about it. And as you just mentioned, man, I mean, the recruiting it's definitely picked up, and you don't even have to look at any of the rankings or anything. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that the recruiting and people wanted to come to play for Coach Beamer and, be part of this environment. I mean, it's 100% increase.
I actually, Mike, to your point, and I had jotted this down earlier to bring it up to Garcia. I actually think it has more of a 2010 feel when you were when people started to kind of take notice that, okay, these guys they're good, because when y'all beat Georgia that year, people started paying attention. Obviously the defense was quite the story at the time, right? But
right.
As the year went along, people realized how difficult it would be to beat y'all. And I think that's when people started really, truly, because there was a consistency there that hadn't been there, Stephen. Do you see or feel any similarities to
Absolutely.
that season? You do?
Okay. Yeah, 100%. 100%. You're a couple wins away from, really making some noise. I mean, we don't lose to Kentucky after we beat, Alabama, and I think that season's completely different. Auburn. Obviously, yeah, Auburn. But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a few games in there that, would have changed the entire outcome, and who the hell knows what would have happened. But yeah, I think this definitely has some feel of 2010, and getting people more excited about, especially with the young quarterback, getting people excited about these next couple of years, assuming we can pay him and keep him.
Don't go down that road.
Well, I mean, that's
a few guys are gonna have to pay. It looks like.
Yeah, that's the new problem you got to deal with. You recruit your ass off. You recruit your ass off, then you got to recruit guys to actually stay here once they do well.
The price tag. I was just in Oxford this weekend, and a pretty good collective source, let's just say, told me that Jackson Dart was making $965, and I was like, well, for Jackson Dart in this day and age, and what he's done in the SEC, that's a bargain.
Yeah,
you got guys making double that haven't done half as much.
Right.
So
is that including his private plane situation?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Does he have a private plane?
Some endorsement.
Yeah, he doesn't own the plane, but he gets. There's a few guys, right, Stephen, that have access to that.
Yeah,
it's the same one, right? That sponsors game day.
Is it Wheels Up?
Wheels Up.
Yeah.
Carson Beck had that, right? Or he did until he threw 11 picks in the last 4 games.
Beck's got everything. He's got a Cavender twin that he's dating. He's got a
That's
Lambo.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people, Georgia fans, they're like,
they're blaming
the Cavender girl. Stephen, I mean, you can relate to this life. My point was, I'm just guessing Carson Beck probably did okay on the female front, being the starting quarterback of an SEC school long before the Cavender girl came in.
Yeah, I mean, even though he looks like a hammerhead shark.
I think you just finally got. I've been trying to figure this out for months.
Dude, I got to give credit to where credit's due. Andrew Clifford sent me that. If you remember Cliff,
yeah.
I don't know if he made it up or if he heard it from someone else, but he sent me a little meme. It was like Carson Beck after starting dating the Cavender twin. And it was a picture of a hammerhead shark, and I was like, dude, that's unbelievable.
That's great.
That's a tough deal. That's a tough deal.
Did you ever feel like in your playing days?
That's funny.
How can I ask this delicately? The co-eds ever affected your game in a negative way?
Wait a sec. Easy.
I try to be delicate.
Yeah, I mean, there. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
In other words, can you relate to what a Carson Beck or some of these other guys may be going through? I can tell you this, and I will never name names. There were players I covered that were clearly had a down stretch or they were completely out of it. And there were things in their personal lives involving females that were the reason why. So that is a thing. Like, that's not.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, it's undefeated for a reason.
Yeah, yeah,
It always has been, always will be.
right, right.
But I had Memphis, as a freshman, so that, his mom was probably the only thing that was kind of stressful. But I was also a pain in the ass too. So yeah,
Right.
to answer your question just completely bluntly, I didn't. It did not really bother me. Coach
Okay.
Spurrier had more of an effect on me than anything else.
Yeah, you had other battles, not to mention the AD and his wife worrying about your hair.
Exactly.
You had to fight
Exactly.
that battle too. But I do know, like, we joke about it, but when these guys get involved with certain females and like it look, any man's been through it at any age. Like, it can affect your psychological state of mind.
Well, I think that, and I think, now with the amount of money these guys are getting,
Oh
some of these
yeah.
girls are like, yeah, you're gonna, if you don't break me off some money, then
Yeah,
we're gonna have some issues. So yeah, I
That's
mean,
right.
what just happened in Carolina.
uh
The kid that left last year, his girlfriend outed him.
really,
Yeah. Did you not hear about that story?
No.
The defensive end from UAB who came in, Tuazama. It was
Yeah.
Tuazama. Yeah, his he got some. Well, that's why Taylor Edwards isn't in South Carolina anymore. That whole thing was kind of set up, probably not legally, and he was out running around on her, and then she screenshotted all the text messages and exposed him, and
Wow.
wanted her money.
sheesh.
That's dirty.
Yeah. I mean, it's all done now. Everything's over. Nothing, but yeah, he's gone. Yeah, I think he went to UCLA. So good luck out there. He's playing for a guy who's never coached a down a ball in his life.
Jeez.
So before we get you out of here, Stephen, we were just talking a little bit ago about Clemson and South Carolina and the fact that both of them are ranked. And, you obviously started the stretch of 5 in a row, 2009. But the thing that made that stretch so even better was that Clemson was good.
Mhm.
And Carolina was good. And, it's not like you were beating up on a bad Tiger. I mean, nobody who wears garnet and black wants to see Clemson good. I understand that. But for the sake of the rivalry and where it stands or sits in college football and the amount of pub and the people that are paying attention and all those things, like, there's got to be something that makes it relevant. And when both teams are good and playing for at the time, bowl positioning and things like that, the country pays attention. So, if you can, right now they're at 20 and 21. If you can continue to improve this rivalry, all of a sudden, it raises the bar for itself because
Right.
both of them win. I don't know. And Carolina needs Clemson to be good to help their resume, obviously, at least in this particular instance here. But there's also a lot of similarities to that. Not to mention that when you were playing football at Carolina, it was only the Gamecock fans that threw things on the field. Clemson never did that.
What? I don't know if that's 100% accurate.
I know it's not 100% accurate. Last week, Clemson fans were throwing stuff all over the place, and for all we heard for years was how Carolina fans threw bottles and batteries at the players. That never happened up there in God's country.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think if both teams are playing well and they're both ranked, I mean, that definitely improves, the national spotlight as far as recruiting goes. And, at the end of the day, man, you don't care what any of those guys are ranked. It didn't matter. We went out there to try to beat their ass. After the game, we'd be friends or whatever, or after we're done playing, in college we'd be friends. But, during those 60 minutes, we wanted to beat the absolute brakes off of them.
hopefully it's coming Thanksgiving weekend, man. It'll be here before you know it. We're just over 2 weeks away from that ball game. What are you looking for? What are you watching for this weekend against Missouri? Carolina's lost 5 straight to them, if you can believe that.
I cannot believe that, honestly. They said the last time we beat them was the monsoon game with Skarnecki.
Yeah.
That's freaking insane. Yeah, I think I'm looking to see an absolute ass whipping, to be honest with you. I think, from what I've heard, I know Coach Beamer is not exactly fond of Drinkwitz. I don't know if that's a common knowledge or if that's something that I just heard from someone that may know something. So I think if we get up on them, we're gonna kind of put the pedal to the metal and score some points and kind of send a message to not only the rest of the SEC, but to maybe these playoff committee people that select this deal.
That's a wonderful point. We mentioned that yesterday, didn't we, guys? Look, Coach Beamer, they feel like they owe this team something. And if you get the chance, and this is wishful thinking right now, I don't want to jinx anything, but if you get the chance and you can embarrass somebody, to your point, that you can hide behind the fact, we weren't being unsportsmanlike. We're just trying to get into the college football playoff. Because I guarantee you, if Missouri gets the chance to beat the crap out of Carolina, they're going to keep the gas pedal down.
Yeah, I mean, the style points is a real thing these days, especially now you got 12 teams that are competing for it. You got to make some serious noise and kind of show the country, show these people that you are without a doubt one of the best 12 teams in the country and deserve to be in the playoffs. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a complete butt whipping.
Hope you're right, man. Always good to see you. Best of luck to Memphis on Friday night in the playoffs down there. And folks, today at 2:01 p.m., you're an hour and a half away. At 2:01 p.m., when we're done, you can watch Melvin Ingram and Steven Garcia and Pat DeMarco on Tailgate Talks, or you can listen to it. But both are available in the Chief Sports app. Thanks, brother.
Steven, be careful. Be careful when you're walking the mean streets of West Boca. There's a bad element over there, so just watch your back. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. My buddy sent me his address to find out how far I got to drive, and I zoom in on the house. I'm like, dude, what do you do for a living again? Like, what? He's like, yeah, doing this, and then we're gonna play at my private golf course. I'm like, all right, we're gonna make a weekend out of this deal.
That's how they roll in West Boca.
Right?
Yeah. So I'm excited about it.
It ain't exactly Pahokee and Glade Central.
No, it is not. That's funny as hell. All right, boys. Well, sounds good, man. We'll talk to y'all next week.
All right, bud.
Man.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.